Hey guys, welcome back to the Drive Talk podcast, powered by Michelin. Now, much as we wanted to try and get together to do a physical pod recording today or this week, wasn't happening. So we've jumped on virtually, and bizarrely, or amazingly, for the first time in ages, we're all at home.
And doesn't it feel good?
Woo-hoo! It's amazing. It's the best thing ever. It's the first time I've been home for about 4 weeks.
Yeah. Even
So
Pat. And as
I
Ped
know.
just mentioned, we got Patrick on this pod. Number
Hello.
one, because it just adds a bit of flavour to the podcast, and number two, because we want to talk about his new car shortly that he's
Oh, no.
Is it getting
I-
delivered today or tomorrow?
No, tomorrow. I wouldn't be doing this
Whoa.
podcast today if it was today, because I'd be waiting for it right by the front door. But yeah, I've got a new
Wow.
car.
Well,
and I think it ties into some of our other subjects, doesn't it? So we'll have to discuss
Absolutely.
that in a bit.
Awesome. So yeah, we got lots of. This is a catch-up one, loads and loads to catch up. We've all been really, really busy, and I guess as it's the week after Goodwood Festival of Speed, we thought we'd start there, even though it was the first time since 2009 I haven't been at the Goodwood Festival of Speed.
Yeah, that's quite sad. When you told me you weren't going, it was like, not only have you been such a big part of the Festival of Speed for so many years, but also you live about 3 miles away.
I know.
um,
I
and
know.
yeah, and I almost didn't go. I was very close to not going myself this year, and I went for half a day, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, it was bizarre not having Ped at Goodwood.
It was weird not being there. I mean, to watch everyone's socials, all the people that I know and follow and stuff. It was a clash of diaries. I had a drive tour that I'd committed to earlier on in the year with an exciting new channel partner, and it was one of those. It was just the same weekend, and there was a little period of time where I thought I might come home early from the drive tour if I had stuff to do over the weekend. But in the end, I just stayed out and enjoyed the beautiful mountains of the Alps, which we'll talk about a bit later on. But I did have a lot of FOMO. So, but Pat, you worked the whole time, right?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I was a member of staff on a stand this year, which was I think formally the first time ever. But you guys will know, but I can explain to the audience. BMW had a space with Bowers and Wilkins, their headphone company, on their stand, and we kind of behind the scenes got approached to help produce some podcasts for them. So I was there with a full podcast setup, like you've said, Pete. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a podcast there because you were unavailable. But yeah, I got to hang out on the stand and film a few podcasts. And yeah, it was great fun. The event looked crazy busy. I was just saying again off camera that Thursday 7 a.m. there was people queuing up, which I've never seen before. And every day was just jam packed. Obviously, the weather was fantastic as well, so that was a great excuse to get down there. But yeah, I've never seen Goodwood so busy.
It was a record-breaking Festival of Speed in terms of attendance, apparently, but super hot. I mean, can you imagine how many people got sunburn or sunstroke or just ended up not feeling great because it was super hot? But where should we start? There was a few things. We don't want to talk about the whole thing. There was a few events, though, that took place. I've got to start, Joe, with the M3 CS Touring. Had a whoopsie.
Yes. Yeah, it looked obviously it was all over socials within no time, so there's no hiding it. You can't hide anything at Goodwood, especially
No.
as we all know. And I think we've all talked about this. You've been up the hill many more times than I have, but there's a lot of pressure on driving a car or riding a bike up the hill, but more so driving a car, because number one, you want to enjoy it. You also want to make the car and yourself look okay, as in not too slow. But it's usually a car you're not familiar with at all, sometimes, never driven it, on a surface that, although you might have driven up the hill before, changes on a minutely basis, especially turn one and, well, most of the way. It depends on how the wind is and whether, how much sand and dirt is on the tarmac. And also the actual surface of the tarmac. It's kind of like it's
a big crown in the road, right?
Yeah, crowned in the road. Sorry, yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. So once you start going out towards the outside of the track or the surface or the tarmac, the grip level drops away exponentially. So when you're in trouble very quickly there, as we've seen many times over the years through, is it Malcolm, the left-hander?
The one that people crash at normally is Molecombe, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
unsighted. You're going very quickly through the bridge. There's a crest before it. It's unsighted. It's got a really nasty adverse camber, and that's the one where everyone crashes. But that wasn't where the M3 crashed.
No,
Which,
the M3 crashed at turn 1, which,
yeah,
talking about it since with, I know Pat and I had a chat about it yesterday. It is surprising that not more cars go off at turn 1, because at least by Molecombe, you've got a bit of a sense of, okay, there's not much grip, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, turn 1 is like, can go wrong very quickly. But I think, firstly, the person that was driving it, and he's put his hands up straight away. Fair play to Frank. Frank Van Meel, the CEO of BMW, of all people. It looked to me like he had it in rear-wheel drive only, and it looked to me like he tried to start a drift and then came off the throttle, and then it snapped, and it all happened very quickly. Normally, if it was an open field or something, you wouldn't have sort of batted an eyelid at it. But those hay bales, as we know, well, that's not even a hay bale. That's like a hay wall, isn't it?
they weigh a ton each. Those things.
Yeah, and it didn't budge an inch by the looks of things. So when the car hit it, it hit it properly. But yeah, it just looked like he had a horrible snap, and it was over before it started that run. So yeah, hey, that's just the reality, I think, of Goodwood. It's something that spectators probably expect to see, and it's something that does happen. The main thing is Frank and his passenger were absolutely fine, as you would expect. There was not even any airbags.
No.
But yeah, it's in the spotlight. So
I think it's one
everyone
of those...
in the world that's into cars is watching Goodwood at that second. And as soon as something like that happens, there is no running away from it.
I mean, we all that's it. I've always kind of hankered after and wanted to drive a car up the hill, and now we're very lucky we get to do it. But you're right, I don't think people realize that very often it's the first time you've driven the car. You get a very slow speed drive to the start line, and it's even things like, if it's a car you're not familiar with, it's how do you turn the traction control off if that's what you want to do. And I think probably I didn't see the start line bit of that clip, but it's highly likely if he was in rear wheel drive with the traction off, so we could have a bit of a burnout, because lots of the cars were doing kind of foot on brake burnouts. And again, a lot of people might not realize that a lot of those burnouts, the left foot is covering the brake, kind of just slowing the car down, and the right foot is flat on the gas with the rear of the engine, rear of the tires going. If he did that, it all happens and comes at you very quickly, and it's the worst nightmare. I can't. It makes me feel sick watching anyone have a whoopsie at Goodwood, because I just know how I'd feel. It'd be just so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
It could be worse though, because there was another car that didn't even make it to the start line, did it?
oh mate, that's worse, because you're driving a Formula One car. I mean, it was slow speed. It was a Red Bull coming out the paddock, and it just, I mean, the footage is bizarre. It just didn't turn. He had the full lock on, came out the paddock, and just understeered straight on into a bale. And obviously, the front of a Formula One car has a very expensive wing on it, and that just all got squashed in the straw bale. But it is super easy to do.
I think those F1 cars also, they all run on intermediates or winters as well, don't they? So I imagine they're winters but wets.
Winters,
I imagine
yeah.
winters, yeah. Cross climates,
Cross
perfect.
Climate 3 Sport.
He's got to get a Cross Climate 3 poster.
But yeah, I think
no tyre warmers.
yeah, so I think coming out there, the front tires don't have any capability of gripping, and again with that kind of cambered road surface as well.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they were really even touching the tarmac. So yeah, the rear
Can
wheels.
you imagine though, if you sat? I don't know who was driving that Red Bull, but it goes into the bales, and then you just sat in the car going, I just want to disappear now. I want a big hole to swallow me up, and me to just go back home and nobody know it was me.
Yeah.
But
you know what? It's funny. While we're talking about this, just briefly, I'm going to experience this in the next few weeks. When I went out to Germany a couple of weeks ago to film with BMW M on this Drift Games event, and let's just say I embarrassed myself massively, and really not looking forward to seeing when that is posted online, and there'll be nowhere that I can hide when that is shown. So yeah, when you said that, then I was just like, what? I've just had that feeling recently. Oh yeah, no, it's to come. It's going to happen very soon.
I think the challenge is a lot of these guys, and they make getting a car sideways and drifting a car look so easy. Especially the drift guys. I was watching. I know they banned donuts again at the beginning, which I
Yeah.
know it's an insurance thing, but a lot of the drifters were like, "Screw you, I'm going to."
I say they just
a
ignored
donut
that, didn't
anyway.
they? Most of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can see them, the back wheels locking up with the old hydraulic handbrake, just kind of bringing the back of the car around a little bit. And it's like a balletic dance, but you know how hard that is to do anything near that. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the two Hyundai Ioniq 6 ends go up trying to
Yeah,
do
they had a
donuts
drift. They
outside
had a
the hill.
drift edition, didn't they? That was cool.
The
Yeah,
drift
the
edition
black
one,
or
the
the
drift
carbon
edition
one.
one was very, very cool. But
Yeah.
two of the base ones went up, and they tried to do donuts outside the front of the house, and it didn't go well. It just was like an understeery, didn't
Oh.
really get slipped, and it was just. It would be like if I tried to do a donut outside the house. That's
Yeah.
what would happen. Basically, it would just look
Yeah.
like like some complete amateurs driving it. So it can go horribly wrong really quickly. But
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, good event, and I will be there next year because the fear of missing out, the old FOMO while I was away was just too much, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, we've all been very positive about it, but I haven't talked about my experience there as a
Yeah,
punter. And I must admit, I mean, I was there only on Friday morning. And okay, so the what I took away from the event was firstly, the weather couldn't be helped. It was too hot. No matter what anyone says, it was too hot for a festival to enjoy a festival properly. But that's not Goodwood's
yeah,
fault. That's just, it could have been pissing with rain, but it was just unbearably hot. Lots of people fainting, and yeah, it wasn't. It was so that sort of tarred it a little bit for me. But it was too busy. It was way
yeah,
too busy. And I don't care what anyone says that, there might be people that went there for the first time, mates of mine, they're like, oh yeah, it was a great event. But obviously as a first time, it was still awesome. But they've obviously become very greedy with ticket sales this year. And it was way oversubscribed. I couldn't, and I don't know if you saw that or you agree with this, Pat, but it was rammed everywhere to the point that, and I'm quite claustrophobic. So I got there, and after 3 hours, I was like, I've got to go. There's too many people, and there's an atmosphere, but then there's just feeling like you're, being crushed at a festival. And I thought there was 20% too many people there. And I think I'm very lucky that I got a free media pass, but if I'd paid good money to be there, personally, I wouldn't have thought it was almost worthwhile as a
interesting.
repeat customer. Again, if
Yeah.
I'd gone there for the first time, I'd have been maybe wowed by some of it. And backing that up, I found there was a lack of stuff to look at. There was a lot of fairly average, let's say, Chinese electric stands and stuff that weren't really drawing in the crowds. The show on the track was amazing, but because of the crowds, you're 10 deep behind the barrier, so you couldn't really see much. So yeah, I think it was great to see brands like Audi were back. They've got a small stand there, and I think they're only going to grow because of F1. But yeah, I don't know what you have to say about that, Pat. But the volume of people to me meant that the experience was lost a bit because there was just people everywhere.
Yeah, I spent most of my time on the BMW stand. The times I did get to walk around and stuff, yeah, it felt like a very busy Goodwood. And I said it before, yeah, it was 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It was rammed. Like there was so many people. One thing I would say though, which I thought was interesting, and maybe this is a trend moving forward, and probably a whole nother podcast, is there was a lot of cars being launched that weren't from what you would consider car manufacturers. So you had the TWR car, Pete, that we filmed on months ago. But then Lanzante released their own 3-seater supercar, which is a 750S based 3-seat McLaren F1 kind of homage car. £1.3 million, I believe they start at. But there's seemingly quite a few, and there was a few obviously electric conversions as well. but quite a lot of people releasing cars that don't normally make cars. It seems like a whole new world that's opening up here that, Lanzante feel like there's a market. Same with the Tuttles and the GT1 as well. There's a whole market now of these cars that aren't from a manufacturer, aren't even just modified. They are technically and probably have new VINs, but they're completely bespoke, brand new cars, just starting off with a production shell or production engine or production tub or something. But I thought that was quite interesting. They even had their own little area. It wasn't massive, but I think the proof of concept was there where the TWR car was. It was kind of in a little corner, but I think that could expand, and with those kind of brands as well, launching cars there, having them go up the hill. I mean, Lanzante even had like road legal Zonda Rs and stuff that they were showcasing. So I think all of that stuff was super interesting. But yeah, there was a lot of traditional brands showing traditional cars, and they're not the ones you're excited to see go up the hill, or even maybe even excited to see on the stands. But I appreciate, as a normal punter, maybe there's an allure there of just going and touching and seeing all these cars in one place. But no, I think that maybe as a future podcast, but as a topic is super interesting because there's clearly a market for it.
Yeah. No, we should do. I mean, that TWR Supercat, oh my God, did it sound good.
Yeah.
Spitting flames out both sides is always a good thing. Always a good thing in my book. Hey, now, so from cars that sound good to cars that don't sound at all. Do you like the segue?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Well, it depends what you're talking about. Not necessarily all of them. Ioniq 5.
No. Well, no, Ioniq 5. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I forgot you're a EV fanboy now.
Yeah.
So it was either yesterday or today when we're filming. The UK government have announced that they are bringing back the EV grant system that they canned in, I think, 2021, 2022, I think. And basically, they are offering a grant of up to 3,750 quid on EVs up to the on the road price of £37,000. So all the Chinese EV car brands will be dead happy because they're the only ones that sell EVs for under 40,000 quid. It's a grant apparently that the dealer applies to the government for, and you as a consumer, you get it at the dealership. And it's from 1,500 quid to that top 3,750 quid. That to me stinks off. We're not selling enough EVs and we're going to miss the ZEV mandate by the end of the year. We need to do something about it. Thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, no, I agree with your sniffing skills. I think, I mean, I just looked up a few headlines and actually posted a couple of stories just before this podcast that if you look at news and EVs, like 5 or 6 weeks ago, The Guardian or someone posted that EV sales are doing super well and they're ahead of target and all this. And then 4 weeks ago, another publication the same. And then last week, The Guardian published that, it's the strongest June ever for EV sales, and that includes pre-COVID and all the rest of it. And then a week later, the government announced that they're providing grants again. So firstly, something's not right there. We're either being told porkies by some mainstream media, or I think, like you said, the ZEV mandate. I think the biggest problem is, talking to lots of people already this morning, is that a lot of the figures that we see, these numbers, as we all know, are mostly fleet or company car numbers. The private buyer, as we've talked about on the pod many times, that number is still extremely low.
Was it 1 in 11 the last time we looked?
Yeah,
I think it was 1 in 11,
about
wasn't it?
Yeah, so about 10% or whatever. And that's, I think, what they're struggling to do, because with the company fleet, as we all know, a lot of the sort of big businesses, they're forcing their employees into buying EVs. So therefore, they're going to get those numbers no matter what, because they're buying them. But the private buyer doesn't necessarily want them. And in one way, it's great that we're giving the grant back. But in another way, as we all know, incentives from governments mean that it essentially comes out of our pockets. So
it's 800+ million pounds out of the exchequer, out of our taxes, to help people buy a car.
And
because EVs aren't attractive enough for people to make their own mind up on their own. And the thing that annoys me this morning, and I'm becoming more and more of I'm not saying an anti-EV, but more just annoyed by the
I
whole
thought you
thing.
were meant to be the EV advocate here. I'm a bit nervous.
Well, no, I am and I'm not. I mean, the excuse that, and it's on the BBC website this morning. It was on the news I was listening to on the radio, saying that the reason people aren't buying EVs is because there's not enough public charging infrastructure. And I just don't buy that, because actually the public charging infrastructure has improved massively in the last couple of years. And there's loads of high speed chargers in lots of places where you're going to stop. That isn't the problem. The problem is EVs are too expensive. You've already had the initial phase of people either buying it through their company where they're getting some kind of benefit in kind, or if it's a company owner where they're basically writing a car off against profits. They've already done that. Other people have done it that think that they're going to be able to save money on running costs because they can charge at home. We're still not addressing the massive number of people in this country that don't have somewhere they can charge a car at home.
Yep.
And if you don't charge a car at home, and someone's about to go, oh, I run an EV and I can't charge at home, and I charge it in the car park up the road at the supermarket. And it's going to be Pat in a minute. Well, that's good for you, but honestly, or I charge my car on a 3-pin plug. Look, if you're running an EV and you don't have charging at home, of course you can still run the EV. It's just a pain in the arse.
Yeah.
Because you get back from a long day, instead of just plugging a car in and going inside and having some dinner and waking up the next day and having a full battery, you've got to go and drive out somewhere and park it up and plug it in and wait and come back, and that's a pain in the arse.
I will flag on that point as well. There is something that people, I think, miss when it comes to public chargers, particularly council-led ones. I know in London, because my experience of having a Michelin's Taycan before and charging that on the street, because where I lived before didn't have any other chargers, is that you get charged penalties if your car gets to 100% and you don't unplug it and move it.
Oh, Tesla superchargers the same. It's 8 pence a minute.
So you can't. The whole dream of like you could do on a driveway or in your garage where you plug it in, go to bed, wake up, and it's just ready to go. Like I had it before where it finished charging at 4 a.m. Now, I don't really know how I'm meant to know that, because again, I know it's slightly different if you have the Porsche app, maybe you can see, but I'm not setting an alarm at 4 a.m. to get up to move my car. So it's just adding another £10 of cost onto my charge costs. And I think the biggest thing I think with all of this in terms of these grants coming in, I think there is maybe some guilt being felt by the government here, in the sense that they have pushed really hard for these EV mandates and for these percentages of EV sales from all these manufacturers. And the manufacturers seemingly have been quite compliant. We've always commented on the fact that, shouldn't there be more pushback to the EU, to the UK, to wherever it is. But I think maybe now this is an admission of guilt, because I imagine all of these brands, particularly some of the larger ones, have gone to them and gone, you do realize, like, I think we're okay now at 28, but when we get to 33%, we're not going to be able to do that. So you need to help us out. Otherwise, you're going to have to start charging us massive fines. And that sounds all great for the government, but the reality of that means that you're just going to lose an automotive industry. And we're already seeing that with different brands. So I think maybe there's a bit of admission of guilt here, that whether it's the percentages are too high, whether they're kind of realizing now that they've tried obviously to get people on board before with the grants, and they thought that would be the kind of the push down the hill and then the snowball effect would take place. And it hasn't. The snowball effect didn't. I would argue it's probably plateaued or even lessened after the grants. And so now the government are like, oh no, if we don't offer an incentive to help these manufacturers, we're going to have to start fining the manufacturers. And as much as that money made by the government is a good thing, because it goes, I guess, back into our public services and stuff, they don't want to do that, because those companies may just look to move to different markets. And, maybe BMW or whoever it is, or Mini or whatever brand it is with an electric car, will just make
But why
less,
don't they just
market.
readjust the ZEV mandate percentages? Because they know that's unrealistic now. They know it's unrealistic because they've just...
Or can it?
Or can it? Exactly. But I mean, it's not like if the government changes something like that, it's not like people are going to go, oh my God, you've gone back on what you said, because that's what governments do on an hourly basis in this day and age.
I'm going to Google it now. It's not like it can't work, because I saw a thing, I think it's Denmark. It's either Denmark or Norway. Just announced that they, so far this year, 80% of private cars in Denmark sold this year are electric.
But you know why that is?
Because of the huge amounts of premium taxes on non-EVs, right?
To buy a combustion engine car in Denmark costs you 3 or 4 times the price now.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
can't, like an M2 is 200,000 euros or something ridiculous. No, it is. I'm not even kidding. Let me see if I can Google it now.
No, you're right. I
Okay.
remember I was in
Yeah.
a Ferrari press conference once, and they were like, here's the Nordic pricing structure. And it was like 600,000 euros for a Roma. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God.
So that's, yeah, I suppose that's the other way, is you make the taxes on petrol, and I mean that would really ignite the populace, wouldn't it? You think how people hate EVs now, and you imagine what it'd be like if they made petrol cars so much more expensive.
Yeah, so I've just Googled an M2 in Denmark is £151,000.
Oh,
yeah. Whereas over here it's 65, so it's 2.5 times the price. So
wow.
Again,
so that's why they're buying Kia EV3s then.
Yeah, but again, it's absolute smoke and mirrors. It's the media telling us, "Oh, well, Denmark can do it," or that it's like, well, they have to do it because nobody can afford to buy a combustion engine car over there. It's not that they want to do it; it's that they've been forced into doing it, and that's what I still can't believe hasn't happened over here. And obviously, I'm the last person in the world to want that to happen, but it will start happening. There will be, a lot of it will have to start happening. And I fear that will be the next year, like you said, when it gets to 33%, when I'm guessing fleet and business car owners, that must be 20% of the overall market. I don't know, but I'm guessing in my head that's about 20%.
It'll be a large portion, yeah.
So that's the 20%. So now we're trying to make up for the extra, whatever it is, 8% in private buyers. But then it gets the next year and it'll be like, oh shit, so the only way they can combat that is by going, right, now we're going to start charging you a lot of money on your combustion engine cars.
I think another thing to flag in all of this is that if the used market was healthy in the electric car world, and the market was turning over quickly and there was loads of cars coming in and out of the market and stuff, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is just a new car price problem. So prices are too high, government incentive would kind of fix that. But didn't we see that Porsche and the Taycan, they're like removing cars from the market, like a range of cars from the market? And obviously they haven't given us a formal reason for that, but one of them could be, in the same way that Tesla, I think, hold back a lot of their stock as well, is that they need to regulate that used price market, because the prices can't depreciate too much, because that will hurt the brand. And if they're not being bought, then you just have all of this sitting stock. If you're not going to buy a £10,000 Tesla, why are you going to buy a £60,000 Tesla? And it's the same problem with the Taycan, that the cars haven't changed that much. There isn't too much different about them. So we've not just got a problem with new cars seemingly. If the used car market isn't active and isn't moving as well, then there's only one thing left to suggest: is it's the cars.
But why? What I don't get is, so you're buying a £37,000 new EV, and the government are going to give you £3,750 off, right? Or you buy a year-old one for 20 grand. It's like, why?
That's true,
Why would anybody in their right mind buy a new electric car?
Well, I did.
So this is it. Hey, this is the best segue. So EV prices need to come down so that people will buy electric cars. Hey, Pat, because you literally just bought an electric car
for the price of the government grant.
Yeah, I've got a great headline. My car costs the same new as they are currently for sale used.
Oh,
so get your head around that, and I'll go on to explain a bit more. For me, I'm just basing on an interest only.
Here's a question though: if you bought it outright rather than on finance, would it be cheaper than the government grant on EVs?
No, it'd be a little bit more. I should probably say what I've bought, shouldn't I?
Well, I think people are going to start to guess, right? Come on, what you bought. When you emailed us to say you bought this, we were like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. Because we were in Le Mans, like literally the week before, and you must have shouted out about 3 or 4 when you saw them. Went, oh, that's a really cool car. And then you come home and buy one. What have you bought, Pat?
I bought a Citroen Ami, brand new, from Citroen, direct from, but it's not dealership network anymore. It's just direct through their online purchasing portal. But I'll try and tell a concise story as how I've ended up buying a Citroen Ami and justify why. But a few weeks ago, I was at an event filming, and our friend that we all know, Roger, who's a photographer, said, "Oh, have you seen this Citroen Ami deal?" Because he knows that I like them. They're novel. I'd love to have one. I live in London. It kind of makes sense. But they're like £8,500, or about eight to £8,500. So I was like, it's a good toy, but like I don't have £8,500 to spend on one. And he said, "Have you seen this deal?" The deal was an offer code. The offer code offered you quite a substantial amount of money off of the car. So I went onto the Citroen website immediately, typed in Ami Summer, all in caps. I think it still works, but the lead times is a lot longer. And it took off 3,100, hang on, I've got it here, £3,157.83 off of the new price. The new price of the car that I had picked, which is the base model, was, it doesn't say here exactly, but it was like £7,700 basically.
So you're now below £5,000. Like,
yeah. So now the car has cost me £4,537.17. Now at this point, the ordering system, Citroen's ordering system online, offers you finance options, and the finance said it was from like £3.58 a month. And I already thought that this was all like clearly like a mistake. Like they put an extra, they put an extra zero on the offer. Like it was £300 off rather than £3,000 off. That would make a lot more sense at the price point. But I persisted and continued, and I was like, oh, it's £3.58 a month, but you needed to put in like a £1,700 or £1,800 deposit. And I was like, well, I kind of do want one, but like, and the £3.50 a month finance is obviously like it's the price of a coffee. But I don't really want to put any money in because like I still don't. If it was £1,700 to buy an Ami, would I buy one? Yeah, maybe. But I was like, what if I just put no deposit? And so I changed the settings on the PCP, and I put no deposit. And then it said it was £62.78 a month.
wow.
So I was like, hang on. So I've got a Citroen Ami that's like brand new, coming straight from factory, is on a 3-year PCP with a guaranteed final value, and it's no deposit and £62.78 a month.
£2 a day.
So right there and then, whilst I was meant to be working, I literally applied for finance, got approved, and bought a Citroen Ami, and it turns up tomorrow.
Hey, you'll be able to drive it to the podcast. Bring it to the podcast next time we're in Newbury, mate.
Yes.
I'm not sure I get it to Newbury. I'm not sure I get it to Newbury. How do I get it to Newbury?
You can't drive it from London to Newbury. So what's the range? About 200 miles, 250 miles?
No, the range is 46 miles officially. And it does a top speed of 28 miles an hour, and it's illegal to be on the motorway. You're not allowed to put it on the motorway.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So it's very much a city car.
You can drive them at 16, right? It's a quadricycle.
Yeah,
16
in the UK on a moped, because it's a quadricycle, you're right. 14 in France, which is where this car kind of originated from. It fits within those kind of legal, weird kind of grey area boundaries, particularly in Europe. But like I said, in the UK, if you're 16, you've got a moped license, you can drive one. It's 8 brake horsepower, 8 horsepower. It's got roughly a 5.5 to 6 kilowatt hour battery. And yeah, it'll be 2 seats. You've got a bit of storage space, steel wheels, nothing else.
It's the best city car ever.
Yeah.
Where are you going to keep it? In the garage where your 912 should be?
Yeah, so I've got underground parking in my flat. So actually parking for me is not an issue in London. However, I don't have a charger at home. So I know there is public kind of council-led chargers across the street in parking bays. The nice thing about the Ami is that it allows you to charge on a 3-pin plug. That's how you do it in France. Actually, they're all left-hand drive. There isn't a UK variant. So the 3-pin plug you get, or the European plug you would get in France, is the same in the UK. And they literally just give you a plug adapter, like when we go abroad to charge our laptops. But they also give you a European to Type 2 charging port. And the nice thing about the Ami is the charging cable's built in, but it regulates itself. So you can put it in a higher kilowatt charger, and it would just charge at like 3 kilowatt hours.
Can you imagine if you plugged it into like a 350 kilowatt DC charger? It'd be like, boom! It'd be literally like 30 seconds.
I think it would just immediately disintegrate. Yeah,
it probably doesn't do DC charging.
Be like that submarine.
Oh mate, it's so cool. We were speaking before we started though. You've got to put some fucking GTS stickers on it, definitely.
Well, I'll need to get a GTS interior first, obviously, because I didn't tick that option pack. But Yeah, maybe I need to work out. Like I said, I'll overlay a picture because I'm editing this, but it really is base of the base. So they do for like a few £100 more. They do color options, and there's the orange and the blue and the pop and stuff, and they give you sticker packs. They give you interior cubby holes and stuff, but it's all self-install. So when you buy an Ami, as I understand it, you receive the car. Mine's getting delivered on a truck tomorrow, and then they just give you a box of stuff, and that's all of the dealer fit accessories.
Brilliant.
But they're not fitted by the dealer. They're like user fit accessories. But
you need one of
if
these.
you want, I can give you the.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yes. Oh, I'm Master's Distinction. But if you want, I can. I'll briefly run through the finance numbers, and then I'll put an overlay because I don't think this isn't anything that I can't show. But yeah, so the discount was over £3,000, which made the purchase price £4,500, which is about how much they are used after 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Mine's on a 36-month PCP finance agreement with a guaranteed final value of the same as what the cash price is. So I'm just paying interest. It's interest.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
Fixed rate interest per year is 9.9%. So that's your APR. 5,000 miles a year. I mean, if you ever do 5,000 miles a year in an Ami, you would have to be absolutely absurd. Like that is, I don't even know how that's possible. You have to do 50. You'd have to commute every day to and from work 50 miles really to get anywhere close to that. Yeah, and it's charge for credit £1,143. So yeah, it's optional final payment is £3,400.
Okay.
So yeah, the interest it's about £2,100 for 3 years of use at 63 quid ish a month.
Yeah.
Insurance for me, obviously that's massively variable, was £300. I've added my flatmate, it was 60 quid, so he can use it too. Yeah, I don't know. I've never actually been in one. I've seen them and they're cool, but I've never been in one. So maybe I can do like a long-term test for you guys and report in every 6 months or 3 months or something and let you know how I'm getting on.
Yeah, mate, well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of it, especially your initial impressions. But serious question, I think Ped touched upon it. But so do you need you don't need a full license for it then?
No, you could in theory have a moped license at 16.
Oh, well,
because it's not a car.
I think one big regret for my mum and for me and everyone in the family is mum never got her license, her car license. So it was always relied on dad. And obviously that's becoming harder and harder as they get older. And so mum's never had that freedom apart from public transport or the bike. You know, she loves her bicycle and stuff. But she could have an Ami because she's very confident at driving.
It would be perfect in London.
Yeah, she could take dad. Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh my God, there's an idea. Okay, great. Well,
do you know what? If you want, I'll drive. Like if you're around your parents somewhere, because I know they live in London too.
Yeah.
But I'll drive it round and they can have a go in it.
Yes, that's an idea. That's brilliant. I'll come in on the motorbike, meet you, and we could. Yeah.
Because that was the first thing I said to you both. I was like, oh, you can both drive it. I was like, I can't drive it to you. You'll have to come to me, but you can drive it. And Joe, I think we've got a clever video. I don't know if you want to reveal what the idea is, but we've got a clever video idea for it, which I think we'll have to try and do.
Sim versus reality. Could the Ami do a lap of the Nürburgring?
I think
could it actually get around the
Isn't it? Pat? I'm sure you can get. I thought they introduced the Ami.
If it was, is it on Cup 2s?
I don't know. No, I don't think it is in Gran Turismo. I'm not sure.
Oh, is it not? Have I made that up? I'm sure I saw them introduce it into the game.
It's so funny.
I'd love it if they did it. That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? You could take it on a track day.
I think it'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it, around the fast circuit?
Yeah.
Flat.
Where do I turn in? But like, you don't worry about it. Just keep going. But yeah, so I'm super excited. Like I said, it's so cheap. I was like, well, why would I? It's almost these days it's the cost of a meal out for 2 people in a normal restaurant like a Pizza Express or something. So
when you put that in the group, I think both Ped and I were like, should we get one? Like,
well, that's what I told everybody I've told. I'm just like I said, I think the lead time now. So I had a 5-week lead time when I ordered it, but it's actually coming in like under. I think the 17th is when I ordered it last month, so it will be here almost to the month.
Yeah.
But last I checked on the Citroen website, there's a 19-week lead time now.
Okay.
They are bringing out a facelift one, so I suspect the reason why this deal has become so juicy is because they've got a facelift variant coming out that got announced at the end of last year. It doesn't change any of the internals or the technical ability, like in terms of the range or the power, but it
Yeah.
just looks different. So I
Do
think
you
they're
know
probably
what this is?
trying to get
Do
rid
you
of the
know
old
what?
one.
I've just figured it out. I've actually figured something out the first time in my life. You know, like it's an Aston Martin Signet.
It
That's
is, yeah.
exactly what it is. But the Aston Martin Signet was useless and overpriced. But it did what it was designed to do. Whereas the AMI, even I love the idea of the AMI. When I see one, I think they're cute. I think I've always said cities, if we're going to go for this whole EV push, let's throw tiny little electric cars into cities, because that's going to fix things. But actually, if you think about it, Citroen, they're discounting the car by a couple of grand, right? So they've lost a couple of grand. But how much do they get charged for a ZEV mandate
15
overpriced car?
grand per car.
So they're saving a couple of grand to sell potentially thousands of these things that will then get their overall sales figures, right?
Yeah, it does make sense.
Did
Yeah,
I just figure something
Well,
out?
that's really good. I'd not thought of that at all. Yeah. It's
and
genius.
particularly in metropolitan areas, like why would you not have one? That was my mentality. If I examine the journeys I do in London, which is only 14 miles across anyway, is like every journey I ever do inside of London, even if it's just me and I'm bringing some camera equipment, is possible in the AMI. My girlfriend lives 10 minutes away from me. I normally take the Passat or something.
Night out with your lovely other half, like, let's pop down to the South Bank for dinner or something. Cool. Just cruise down there. 20
no
mile
congestion charge, no ULEZ. I don't even think congestion charge will be charged once the new rules come in, because it's not a car. It's a quadricycle. Well, there's no road tax. Obviously, it's brand new for the first time ever, so there's no MOT for 3 years, and I give it back at the end of 3 years. There's no servicing. I think there's an air filter change at 2 years. I think there's a service at 3 or 4 years or something. But
so good.
Yeah,
so good.
It's going to be really cheap. One of the questions actually Arlie and my girlfriend did ask, because we'd had experiences in the Taycan where public charging was very expensive in that thing, because it had a 100 kilowatt hour battery. So she was like, "Oh, is it going to be really expensive to charge?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's 60p a kilowatt hour at my local like council led charger, and it's got a 6 kilowatt hour battery. So yeah, it's going to be like £3.60 to fully charge it." It's like
at a rip-off place.
Yeah. If I had the ability, like, or Pete or you, to charge something at home, it would cost you like 20, 30p or something.
Oh yeah,
because it's 6 kilowatts, so it's nothing, and it charges from 0 to 100 in 3 hours. On a plug. That's on a plug as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get it. I'm super excited to find out what I can do with it as well. Yeah, maybe make it look a bit more interesting, or I don't know.
Track day.
Yeah.
Very
Well,
cool.
you could do a sighting lap in it. Can you imagine that? You've got got Joe in a GT3 RS behind you, or an M4 CS or whatever it is, being like, he's only doing 30 miles an hour around his sighting lap.
You could tune it. You could give it to Moggy and put like a large Tesla performance motor in it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I have seen that you can remove the speed limiter.
Oh.
Now I wouldn't do that, because I'm sure that would invalidate my quadricycle insurance, because that is why it has a speed limit, is because it keeps it as a quadricycle. But if you could, that would be interesting.
It's terrifying.
I wonder how fast it would go.
Nice.
Mate.
Oh well, congratulations. I look forward to seeing the pictures tomorrow, and make sure you overlay a couple on here for the audience, the YouTube audience, to see.
So that's what happens when you get a really good finance deal. Pat buys a car. The car I gave back yesterday, you can currently buy on 0% finance. See, here's another segue. Come on.
And it's small and French as well. It's small and French,
small,
just like the AMI.
Yes. I have to just take a moment to talk about the Alpine A110 that I gave back yesterday, that I'd just done 2,000 miles in through Europe, because it was mega. So good. Such a good car. It's not by any means without its faults. However, it's only like just over 1,100 kilos. And you forget, in the world of cars that are so big, fat and heavy, when you've got a car that weighs next to nothing, it's just delicious when you get into the Alpine passes and you've got tight hairpins and you come up to a corner and you just turn the steering wheel and the front end bites and just goes round. It was mega. Really,
talk us through your trip, if you don't mind, because obviously saw your stories and stuff, but like, where did you start, where did you go, and where did you experience the car?
So I did it with a drive tour companion app called Mivia, and that's an app where you can basically plan and execute your own road trips. So you can create routes, share them with your friends, book hotels at really good rates, do everything from getting one of these. So this is a Spanish bipper for the toll roads. I only had a French one in my car, but we spent quite a lot of time in Italy, and I was on my own in the car. So when we went on the Italian Autostrada and we got to a toll booth, it wasn't good because I'm having to like crawl across the car and get out the passenger window. But you can buy things like toll birds, which are available. You can use them anywhere in Europe. So I'm going to be sharing the routes and stuff. But we went. First day we went down to Reims and Reims, and stayed in Reims. Second day we went down to Annecy and stayed right next to Lake Annecy, which is just the most beautiful town. It's so lovely. And those 2 days were kind of French country roads, a bit of a transition. You know what it's like when you go to the Alps. It's flat until you get there, but some beautiful roads. And then from Annecy, we went up over the Alps into Italy to Aosta and stayed in Aosta for a couple of days. And we had 2 nights at the same hotel. So the middle day we spent doing a big loop and driving some really cool roads. And then we went from there to Andermatt in Switzerland, 2 days in Andermatt. And then we headed home. So we came back via a hotel just outside of Luxembourg and then back. So lots and lots of passes, mainly in Italy and Switzerland. So San Bernard Pass, Gothard, Col de Nivoli, Col d'Iseran. It snowed on top of the Col d'Iseran. We're driving up, and we left the valley floor was like 25 degrees, and we got up to the top, and we're like, hold on a minute, it's literally snowing. It was like 1 degree, heavy winds, snow all over the ground. It was bizarre, so surreal. But yeah, really cool, really, really cool.
And the car, so it was an A110S though, right?
Yeah. I'd driven an A110, the base one, about 2 or 3 years ago and liked it, but I always felt it needed a bit more power, and that's for me what the A110S does. So it's 300 horsepower, 1.8 turbo, 7-speed DCT or twin clutch box.
Yep.
Just over, I think it's 1150 kilos or something like that.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And it could do with more luggage space, but I managed. It's got nowhere to put drinks inside the car, but I managed. There's no elbow rests, which when you're on in a car on a motorway for a long time, you kind of sat with your elbows tucked into your body because there's nowhere to rest your elbows. But it was mega, really.
Yeah, that looked great. I could
how
always
much,
imagine.
How much is an S out of interest?
It's spec dependent. They're like early 60s. Let me see. I can't remember exactly what my
early 60s.
What that one was.
And how much is a Cayman?
That's its problem for me. Its problem is if you were in the market for that kind of car, and a Cayman is such a capable car, you'd be like, which one should I buy? So it's weird. I've got it somewhere. Anyway, I'll pin book it. Oh no, that's the old one. But yeah, brilliant car. I mean, Gordon Murray drives one, right? So it's got to be doing something right. So
yeah.
And we had some nice cars on tour. Out of the toll booth. You play toll booth, send it. Well, I did that with a GT3, a 991 GT3. And up to miles an hour, we were side by side. And then when it got to the speed limit, the GT3 left me. But
because you stopped accelerating at that point.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right, Joe. Yes, I did. But yeah, so and up the mount, we had a couple of really, really cool open roads. One night we went in Aosta, we went over the mountains to a steak place, and we went up this alpine, lovely road. And it was empty, and I had a Huracan STO in front of me and a GT3 911 behind me, and it kept up with those perfectly.
Wow.
So it was good.
Yeah,
really,
it looked
really
good.
Road trips are good. I've forgotten how good road trips are. Brilliant. But I'll be doing loads of stuff with Mivia over the next, weeks, months, whatever.
Do they do hand
I'm
cream?
sure we'll talk about. That's Nivea.
Oh, right.
But yeah, no, it's good. It was good. I'm noticing time, so we're moving on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a really good segue to this. I mean, the Alpine A110 was a super car to drive, But those roads would have been great if you were on a super bike.
Oh,
Joe!
we need like a cheese platter or something. That was just amazing.
So you went to the superbikes. I can't believe you've never been to. Not that I have ever been to superbikes, but as a MotoGP obsessive,
Yeah.
I found it amazing that was the first time you'd ever been to see the superbikes live.
Yeah, well, I've watched superbikes probably as long as I've watched MotoGP. I must admit,
Yeah.
I've never been as obsessed until recent years because the championships got really, really spicy over the last, let's say, 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I do watch it religiously, along with British superbikes. But I've never been to, I've never been to a round. I've been invited to a few British superbike rounds and couldn't make it for whatever reason. And then Subaru, out of the blue, Subaru UK reached out about 2-3 weeks ago, said, "Do you fancy superbikes?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yeah," because it was the British round. Most of it's European. They've got a round in Australia, but most is European-based, mainland Europe. But they do have a round at Donington Park, which is, as we all know, we talked about again recently on the podcast, an absolutely beautiful place, especially when it's basking in sunshine, which it was again over the weekend. So I went down there, and what also made it really interesting for me is obviously Michelin, our headline sponsor. They are moving out of MotoGP at the end of 2026, and they're moving into the Superbikes paddock, the World Superbikes paddock. So I've got that vested interest as well, just to see what it's like, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a far more chilled out version of MotoGP, because I guess MotoGP, if you think about it, is the pinnacle of the sport. It's like Formula One, but obviously not as big as Formula One. But we've all been there. It's there's lots of money. It's I wouldn't say it's corporate, but it's just very structured, and we get access to places which a lot of people don't. Whereas the Superbike paddock seemed a lot more relaxed, but in a good way, a lot more accessible. And I found the racing brilliant. I found all of it. I had a brilliant time. I was on the grid, which was pretty cool. First time at Superbikes, and I was right on the grid with everyone. But yeah, really enjoyed it. There was
what's the link between Subaru and Superbikes? They don't do bikes, do they?
No, good question. It's a bit like the link between BMW M and MotoGP. Well, BMW do motorbikes, but they're not in MotoGP. The Subaru are the official safety car of World Superbikes this year, and I think next year as well. But so good question. But they had a great setup right in the middle of the paddock. Looked over the main stage. It was just next to the podium as well. It was really good. Yeah, really, really good. And but no, it was great. It was great to experience. And and see what was going on, and I have to mention as well that the current tire sponsor that's been in World Superbikes for years done a great job. They had their big trucks parked up, as you do.
Oh, the black one with like yellow and red on it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So I was just having a sniff around at sort of looking at how it was all run there by those guys, and I looked down at the truck tires, and all the truck tires are Michelin. But anyway, moving on. I might have done a cheeky story on my Instagram. But anyway.
You did. But to be fair, that was the same at N24. So all of that tyre suppliers' shuttle buses were all on Michelin tyres.
Brilliant. Love it. Gold. Say no more.
But yeah, it did look very cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Quick question on the Subaru front. What cars do they have for sale now? Like, what were the safety cars?
Joe's just Googling.
Don't they have BRZ, don't they? But I don't know if they have a new generation of that, because that used to be GT86.
They still do Forester, don't they?
Yeah, so the car that we use, it was called this Solterra or Solterra. It's an electric family SUV. We did some laps around the circuit. Actually, it was a lot faster and more impressive than I thought it was going to be. My hopes were not like, I didn't think it was going to be a BMW. What did we go in?
M5 Touring.
M5 Touring, yeah. Yeah, it wasn't an M5 Touring.
It's the same car as you've got, Joe, yeah.
Yes. Have you got an M5 Touring? I had no idea.
Yeah, apparently,
Easily forgotten. Sorry, Tony. So it was. I mean, it wasn't, you know, the most ridiculous safety car in the world. But yeah, I also, you don't see many Subarus. And I had this discussion with them, Oz, because obviously when I lived in Australia 25 years ago, Subaru was massive out there. And I think it still is relatively big today. But they're you know, Australia's very big with their Japanese cars because they, you know, they're located quite close to Japan, relatively close compared to Europe and us. You just don't see many really modern Subarus. You do, if you venture into the Cotswolds, you'll see the same sort of person that's got a Lexus might have a Subaru parked up, or
like a Forester or an Outback or something.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you'll see
I
a
mean,
Subaru dealership every now and again. You're like usually next to an old school petrol station, and you're like, oh, Subaru. Like,
I mean, to be fair, their design department screwed them over because the Impreza was just the coolest car ever.
Yeah.
And then
Bug-Eye.
their designers had a brain fart one day and then came out with just the most horrific looking thing ever.
Yeah, but then they got better after that, didn't they? When they turned it into more of a hatch. I don't know what the model name was, but anyway, so yeah, that was cool. Super bikes are, I knew they would be cool, but what was interesting, and just nerding out a little bit quickly, is a World Superbike or a British Superbike, they are based on road going superbikes. So let's say Top Rack's M1000 RR is based on a road going BMW M1000 RR. And if the lap time between those two isn't night and day, if the road bike was on slicks, they'll, you know, be relatively close. But obviously Top Rack's one is very special and has some special parts on it, suspension mostly, and all the rest of it, brakes. But what I'd always heard and read about online is that the difference between a world superbike, that, you know, even one costing £300,000-400,000 or whatever they cost, compared to a prototype MotoGP bike that we go and see, is a prototype MotoGP bike is completely chassis wise is absolutely rock solid, like doesn't move a millimeter. It's a, you know, apart from the suspension and things that should move, the actual chassis is, you know, it's built to not move or flex or whatever. Whereas a superbike, because it's based on the road going bike, and it's now running 250 horsepower and it's got slick tires with loads of grip, inherently then the chassis starts to move around and flex. So I read lots about that MotoGP bike's solid and a superbike is really flexy, and that's why it's difficult to jump on one and off the other. But the second I saw a superbike going through the Melbourne Loop, I think they call it, at Donington Park, I stood by the fence there and watched a few bikes come through. And you could visibly see the difference, because I've obviously watched so many live MotoGP bikes, and suddenly I'm watching a superbike, and you could see it, like in the brakes, you could see the whole thing twisting and moving. You could see it in the corner and the way they had to ride it. It was completely different, and it was amazing, the visible difference between watching a MotoGP bike and a you know, that's very solid. And if you see any kind of slip on a MotoGP bike, especially in corner entry or mid corner, it's usually going to end up in an accident, because it should, you know, it very much relies on grip and staying up, you know, in a straight line. Whereas the superbike was just all over the place, more like almost like comparing a rally car to a touring car. You know, it's like it was very different riding style, very different looking bike. But anyway, there you go. Hopefully, we'll get to experience them together in 2027 with Michelin.
Yeah. You need to ride one.
Yes. Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Last couple of things, because we're getting near the end of our time. I'm going to have to put a hat on. Hold on a minute.
Oh, here we go. Oh, Nissan. Oh, I'm a big fan of Nissan.
I'm putting that hat on because I just want a big shout out to Ollie Rowland, who became the Formula E World Champion at the weekend in Berlin. 2 rounds to go. He sealed the title. He's had a mega year this year. I haven't been... Last year, I did a lot of stuff with Nissan and went to Tokyo. I actually flew back on the same plane as Oliver, so we kind of chatted on the way home, which was really cool. Yeah. And he's always been very fast and exciting to watch. And it's clearly he's had the car this year. And for all the guys that I met last year in the Nissan Formula E team, from CEO downwards, that was their goal. And to actually see them do it was really, really cool at the weekend. So, So, Ollie, well done.
Awesome. Yeah, nice.
And then the other one, I can't not go. We don't normally talk very much about Formula One on this podcast for obvious reasons, but I am a massive Formula One fan. I cannot end this podcast without asking you your opinion on Christian Horner getting fired from Red Bull, because I sent you both the message while I was away. Tracy rang me up and she went, "You'll never believe it, Christian Horner's just got fired from Red Bull." I was like, "What?" Unreal.
Pat?
Couldn't have
Oh,
happened to a nicer guy.
yeah, he's had his issues over the years, hasn't he? Public ones that we probably shouldn't go into too much detail about. But yeah, that I, I mean, the only little bit of tidbit of insight I was speaking to some people at Goodwood about this is that what I happened to be doing at Silverstone meant that I saw that group of people get into a vehicle. I won't say what kind of vehicle, but together, leaving the track. And so I think this might have really genuinely been a very last minute and surprising decision. Silverstone on Saturday or Sunday, whichever, no, Saturday, because it was just after qualifying had finished. They all seemed to be pretty happy getting on together. That's what I saw anyway. So whatever happened here,
so you're being very cryptic. Is that people getting along together from Red Bull?
yeah, all of the
Or-
Red Bull people got into the same mode of transport at the same time. From Jos, Max, Yuki, Christian, Helmet,
Oh,
and
I
a few
see.
other
And then
team members.
and then a couple of days later.
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't know if you.
my suggestion would be, my assumption would be that Max has stated either that he's staying with the caveat that he will only stay if Christian is kicked out, because there's always been a bit of a power battle there between Marco, who obviously him and Max I think are a lot tighter maybe than with Christian, or the Max has said he's leaving.
Yeah.
Or that, because we've just seen leaked photos of Toto and Christian getting onto the same jet in Sardinia or wherever they were on holidaying with their boats near each other.
I've got to send you the flight tracker. There was an Instagram I saw this morning. You know the flight tracker where you can see the So there's a post saying Max on his way to see Toto on his private jet, and the flight tracker, the plane's flown around in the shape of a Mercedes three-pointed star.
But yeah, so I think there's two options here. I think it's that Max has said I'm staying, but you need to get rid of Christian, or Max has said I'm leaving, and at that point Red Bull have realized they have nothing left. They've built this car for years around this guy. He said, "Look, I'm negotiating with Mercedes just to give you a heads up. You know, I'd like to go there. That would be my preference." And they've gone, well, there's only one person here that needs to be held accountable for that. That's Christian. So goodbye. But it looked like it all happened very, very quickly and last minute.
I think you're close, but I don't think it's Max that said that.
Okay.
I think it's Jos. It's Jos Verstappen said, "If you want Max to stay, we've got an offer over here from Mercedes. If you want him to stay, Christian's got to go."
Yeah.
And then, as you said, Helmut Marko and Max's team are very close. So yeah, I think that can, for me, can be the only one. I can't see Max going to Mercedes, but
I don't know who they would.
Can you imagine if Max left and Christian's left and Adrian Newey's left?
Yeah.
I mean, Red Bull are buggered, aren't they?
Yeah.
How about you, Joe?
I agree with.
Or do you care? Do you even care?
No, I do. I do care. And I mean, what makes it more interesting is I'm quite a big Max. I know you're not at all, Ped, but I'm quite a big Max fan. Not necessarily off the track, although I say that. I think what he does in GT3 and sim racing is cool. But yeah, I agree with both of you. I think we're speculating about everything. But I think it's all going to come out the wash in the next few weeks. We would hope. And again, I'm not a massive George Russell fan as a person. I think he's a bit, but he deserves some kind of answer. Like he needs why has he not been told about his drive next year? He deserves the drive. He matched Lewis pretty much for everything last year.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be. He's the one I feel sorry for at the moment. And there's always someone in the chain, isn't there, of people? It's like when you're buying a house. It's like poor. He needs to find out. But yeah, it will be interesting to see which way it all goes. But I don't know. It was all a bit of a shock to hear that. I think what what he's done. What's his name? Christian Horner.
Yeah.
What Christian Horner's done over the past 20 years can't be overlooked. Like, I think he's
No.
had his stint has been amazing. Love or
Yeah.
hate the guy. And I know there's been lots of, stuff that's potentially happened or whatever. Even the Toto and him stuff was a bit petty through those years. But yeah, you can't but admire some of the stuff that they've done with that car, with the Vettel days and then the later, more recent years. But it has become a bit related to MotoGP again. It's become a bit of a Marc Marquez era where Marc, for many years, was the only person that could ride that Honda, and then Marc left Honda, and it's left Honda with a bike that nobody can ride.
Yeah, that's
'cause
exactly
they've
where
got-
Max would leave them if he
Yeah,
left.
because it's gone in the Marc direction for so many years, and Marc had so much ridiculous talent and has so much ridiculous talent that he could ride a washer machine. Whereas, and it's the same, I think raw talent, Max is just unbelievable, but he obviously has this way about a car. He likes it to be nervous and whatever that other top flight drivers just can't seem to drive. So whatever happens, Red Bull, I think, aren't in a great shape, because even if Max stays, the car's not good enough, and it surely is only going to get worse now that Adrian's not there.
You've got the big 26 engine supply change as well. So Mercedes obviously developing their own engine. I think the rumors in the paddock is that engine's pretty strong. I don't know how they'd know that other than simulations, but you've got Ford making Red Bull's engine, haven't you? Which is new. So,
well, looking at the last big engine change when they went to hybrids, I mean, Mercedes dominated, didn't they? So looking at that and their money and their infrastructure and their know-how, you would, if you're a betting man, you would surely go, well, Merc are going to build the best engine at least. And if they're building the best engine, then they're going to build the best chassis that adopts that engine, just like they did in. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not an F1 expert, but
I think there's two things I'd leave on maybe questions for the audience. Is there's a suggestion here, you're talking about Russell being like, does he know if he's got to drive next year? No contract. But who's suggesting Russell's the one leaving? Why would you not take the young gun Antonelli and put him in another team? If Mercedes are trying to make the most powerful team possible. Now, obviously, it's all hypothetical. But if Toto really wanted to kind of big, make a statement, he would put Antonelli into another team, like a Williams or equivalent, keep him under his Mercedes management contract thing that they have with those kind of drivers, like they've done before, bring in the big guns, see how it goes. If Antonelli then starts performing like Russell did at Williams or equivalent, bring him back into that thing. And I think the second thing is to think about is, where does Christian Horner go? Because right now he's still an employee, so they don't have to pay him out, any quicker than he's getting paid out at the moment on a monthly salary.
Yeah.
But there's a bunch of new teams coming into F1. You've got Cadillac, you've got Audi, and like, imagine one of those teams being like Christian Horner, Perez, Bottas. That's a pretty strong lineup for a new team. And I think Cadillac are already talking to those two drivers, but add Christian Horner into that. Or does he go to Aston Martin? Is that the final jewel to their crown of like, now we're going to make this, bin off Stroll even and get someone else in that can actually drive. But how do they? Maybe they take Antonelli. Christian Horner and Antonelli go to Aston Martin. All of a sudden, you've got a young gun in a good car designed by an amazing designer with a great team principal and a pro, a really seasoned pro, telling them how it's all done and helping develop the team. I mean, there's a huge amount of change that's going to happen. So, just super intrigued to watch it and see what unfolds.
All I can say is the Netflix guys from Drive to Survive must be going, "Oh, this is the best thing ever!" Because next year's season of Drive to Survive is going to be wicked.
Yeah, it's going to be insane.
Anyway, sorry to end this one, but I've got to go to the airport very, very soon.
Are you on another trip again? Is it a studio shoot, this one, or do you actually get to drive a car?
Do we allowed to know what it is?
I can't tell you actually. I can't tell you. Yeah, it's under embargo till September, so no, I can't tell you.
September, wow. Okay, well, we'll hear about that one in months' time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
Well, safe flight and great to see you all. Thanks for coming on, Pat. I think it's great.
Actually, thank you for having me on.
I think if you let us know in the comments below or via social media somehow on our Instagram, if you enjoyed this, because I think it's quite nice having 3 people on,
Yeah.
at least more regularly. And Patrick's a great insight to everything. He's a lot younger than Ped, and but yeah, and I'm looking forward to the AMI updates. So yeah, we'll have to
Yeah.
have you back
Yeah,
on
at a
again.
minimum, people might get 5-minute segments of me every few months saying, right, so the AMI, I've rolled it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
it'd be cool. Well, thank you so much for having me on. And yeah,
Yeah.
I look forward to editing myself. I don't really like that part of this, but
Yeah.
you know,
Easy now.
Good
Easy
luck with that.
now.
Easy now.